Oh, Michael. Hello, YouTubers, and welcome to another episode of the vlogs. The breaded egg toast phenomenon has been spreading. It seems like everyone is eating it because it's such great fuel. Or it's because it's a good option of the options that are there. Yeah. Okay, so today we have a breaded egg toast and our orange edition muesli after a little bit more 2K prep for the 2K on, what day is it? Thursday. On Saturday. So we're going to fuel up after that session, some 500s at pace, one at sort of mid-pace and one a little bit faster. So I like to build through my 2K. Let me know in the comments below how you like to do your test. You have negative split, positive split, chill out at the start, chill out at the finish. We're going to talk about what is best for you today. But first, we got to fuel up because remember, food is fuel. Oh yeah! Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to go through some high intensity workout footage, of course, after the warm up, and then talk about 2Ks and how to do them. And now we're going to talk about how you should do a 2K or how anyone should perform their 2K. And since we did pieces this morning, like you see here, you have to warm up. It doesn't matter if it's for a 2K or a 5K or it's for any intensity. You should really warm up and prime the body. So everyone's warm up is going to be different, but my warm up, when I've planned it and I've got loads of time, what I would do is 20 minutes on the bike, just making sure I move the legs. I'm not fully sweating yet, but I'm definitely getting warmer. Then from the bike, I'll jump on the rowing machine and do a 1K of just sort of floating around. Very easy, not UT2, just not really breathing too hard, just moving up and down the slide, having a little wander, looking around, and then I'll do 2K of UT2. And then after the 2K of UT2, that's actually for more of a confidence thing to get Then after the 2K of UT2, I'll head into some bursts. And so a burst for me is sort of 10 to 12 strokes, just seeing the split that I want to see for the 2K. So I'll do roughly a below pace burst, so a below 2K pace burst. Then I'll go into a on pace 2K burst, and then I'll do a last burst, a bit shorter, maybe 7 or so strokes, what I call max rev. So basically I just want to build a little more confidence and see some low numbers. So I'll take 7 strokes, maybe even less than 7, just maybe 5 or 6, just to see some big splits to say, oh yeah, it's still there. And then after that, I'm hoping I've timed it right, and this is about 20 minutes before the start of the 2K. I do a minute at pace, maybe a minute or 70 seconds at pace. And this is to prime the body. If you've ever done a workout first thing, not warmed up, and say it's got multiple parts to it, that first part is always a killer just because your body isn't primed. So this minute, about 20 minutes before the 2K, is to prime the body, to really tell it, okay, something's happening, let's get the systems going that I'll need to use in the 2K. Now, we've quickly went through a warm-up for the 2K, and that can really apply to a lot of other workouts too. But how do you do the 2K itself as we switch into doing some more high intensity on the screen? So the 2K itself has many, many approaches, and I've really narrowed it down to 3 different approaches. You have the hold option, and that is when you go out at one split, you hold that split, and you do not see faster, you do not see slower, you do not have a big sprint, you do not do some big strokes at the start. You see one split for almost the entire 2K. In my opinion, that is one of the hardest ways to do the 2K. That's when that kind of 2K is when you're really experienced and you know exactly where the red line is for your body, you know exactly how you're feeling that day, and you know exactly where you can push and where you can't push. And then, second option, you've got the positive split approach. This is where you go off extremely hard, but you know that if you go off hard now, then you get to slow down a little bit towards the end, but then you see the meters ticking down and all you have to do is hold on. This is a very difficult option and can feel absolutely terrible. Some may call this a fly and die option, but it is a genuine approach. For some, they see maybe their fastest split is the first 500 of a 2K, and then the middle K is their two slowest, and then the last 500 isn't quite as quick as the first 500, but it is faster than maybe the third. That option for me, I believe, is probably the worst option, because sometimes you go out very hard and you just don't know where you're going to go. And my favourite option, and one that is most suited to me, the negative split option. There are a lot of different advantages to this, but I believe the main one is it builds confidence all the way through the piece itself. So for me, I go out at a certain split, and then I feel like, okay, so I go out and say I go out at a certain split, I go out almost like the hold option. So I do that for almost 1 kilometer. So I go out at a split, I don't do a massive start, I don't do a lot of big strokes and that brings me to another point, the big strokes at the start. I tend to avoid these. A lot of people say, oh, but they're free strokes, you've got loads of energy at the start and it's getting rid of that energy and putting it into the erg. I think that when you go out and do some properly big strokes, it takes a massive chunk of energy, way more than people say. People really say, oh, it's free strokes, you've got the adrenaline, you've got whatever it is going for you, so you use that. But I feel like you can use that through the whole 2K, and when you use a negative split option, you almost feel like it's too easy because you have all this energy built up, this nervousness, this ready-to-go-ness built up just because you're doing a 2K and you're ready to go and do that 2K. So I tend to just stick onto the split almost in 2 or 3 strokes and then go on from there. But I'll go out, get to my split, hold that split that is a little bit back from what I know I can do. And then once I get to around 900 meters, I step down a gear and start sort of winding in for the finish. And I say it builds confidence because you're not in a place where you're thinking, oh my goodness, am I going to finish this erg at all? You're more likely to be in a place where, okay, I'm not feeling great, but I know I can finish this, and it's just a matter of how fast I can finish this. And that's why I like the negative split option, because really you're thinking, okay, I'm going to go out hard, but not too hard, and then you keep going, and you sort of build through the piece. And then the splits start coming down, and then you get more confident, and then the splits come down again, and the confidence builds, and you hopefully finish on a good time. But with these 3 approaches, it doesn't really matter which one you've done. If you've maxed yourself out, you're probably going to end up looking something like this anyway, and that is the look we kind of aim for, but we know that feeling where you've emptied the tank and you have no more to give. But these 3 approaches are very individual. I recommend really trying and experimenting what is best for you, because what works for one person may not work for another, and these are only 3 methods, and there are probably more. Let me know in the comments below which you prefer, and you don't necessarily have to figure out what's best for you on, say, a 2K day. Sometimes it's better to figure out in practice. So say you're doing some hard pieces or some sort of pre-test workout, then you kind of can figure out what kind of approach you prefer. And obviously these approaches apply to the erg, not the water. Because, like I said, like the negative split option, it builds confidence because you start feeling good, and then you finish and you see the splits come down and come down. But if you're on the water, then things are a bit different. It almost is the opposite. You don't really want to go out at that pace, because on the water there's a massive advantage to being in the mix of things or ahead, because you can actually see the people you're racing against rather than on the machine. It's you against the numbers you are seeing. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend the negative split option on the water unless you are very, very confident in your ability to keep inside the boat and your ability to bring the speed up more than anybody else. I more recommend a sort of a completely different option where it's more of a start hard, push again, and then sort of holding on almost. But that's for a whole nother video. And that's us finished today with the How To 2K chat. Like I mentioned, it can really be all about how you deal with the 2K. But that will be it for today's episode. Something a little bit different. I had a lot of feedback from the How to Row an 8 video. Very good feedback, so I thought, why not do something similar with how to do a 2K? A little bit of different footage here and there from previous 2Ks, from previous erg workouts, giving it some big yam. Hopefully you can take that into your next 2K, your next mission, if it were, on the 2K. But we've got your 2K on Saturday. Hopefully I can take some of my own advice into that. But that will be it for today's episode. Again, hopefully you enjoyed it, and remember to subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that like button and have a good one.